They came at midnight, 2 children, standing motionless at my front door. Their voices soft, their eyes, completely black. They whispered, "We can't come in, unless you say yes." Something inside me screamed not to open that door. Others have seen them too, across America. The same pale skin, the same black eyes, the same bone-chilling feeling. Stay with me, because what happens when you say yes is more terrifying than you can imagine. The night they came, an eyewitness encounter. It was a stormy night in rural Texas when Mark, a 38-year-old mechanic, heard a knock at his front door. Not a loud pounding, just a soft, repetitive tapping, barely enough to be noticed. At first, he ignored it, thinking it was just the wind or maybe a tree branch brushing against the porch. But the knock came again. Precise, patterned, like someone, or something, was waiting. Mark opened the peephole and saw 2 children, 1 boy and 1 girl, no older than 10. They stood in the dark without umbrellas, their clothes dry despite the rain. Both wore outdated clothing, something you'd expect from the 1950s. No facial expressions, just pale skin and straight posture. Then came the voice, "Mister, we need to use your phone. Please, let us in." But it wasn't the plea that chilled him. It was the way the voice echoed, flat, emotionless, robotic. Mark's gut told him something was off. He looked closer. That's when he saw their eyes, completely black. No whites, no pupils, just endless darkness. He stumbled back instinctively. Every hair on his body stood up. He didn't know why, but he suddenly felt an overwhelming wave of fear, as if his very life was in danger. The children didn't move, didn't blink. Then the girl whispered, "We can't come in, unless you say yes." Mark slammed the door shut. But the knocking continued, calm, steady. He called the police. When they arrived just 10 minutes later, there was no sign of the children. No footprints, nothing. And yet, the fear lingered in Mark's house for weeks. He couldn't sleep, he couldn't focus, he even moved to another town. Mark isn't alone. Hundreds of similar accounts have been reported worldwide. People describe nearly identical experiences. Children with black eyes, emotionless voices, and an unshakable sense of dread. Some say they show up at gas stations. Others at cars in parking lots. Always asking to be let in. The strange part, people who say yes never seem to come forward again. There's no record, no follow-up, as if letting them in erases you, or worse. Psychologists initially dismissed these stories as hallucinations or internet hoaxes. But the sheer number of encounters, with eerily consistent details, has left even skeptics uneasy. Could it be mass hysteria? Or are we dealing with something real, and far more dangerous? In Native American lore, there are stories of spirits that must be invited in before they can cross a threshold. The black-eyed children seem to follow this rule. They never force themselves in. But they will stand at your door, waiting. What if they're not children at all? What if they're something ancient, something predatory, disguising itself in the form we're least likely to fear? It's not just rural legends or American tales either. Reports have surfaced from the UK, Australia, and even Japan. The same details, the same fear. One British woman reported waking up to a tapping on her bedroom window, on the 2nd floor of her home. When she looked out, she saw 2 children standing on the roof. Smiling, waiting, whispering, "Let us in." She moved out the next day. The global pattern, and the darker truth behind their eyes. While individual encounters are disturbing on their own, the real horror lies in the pattern. Over the last 30 years, stories of black-eyed children have spread across the globe, emerging in places that have no cultural connection or shared folklore. The same pale faces, the same black eyes, the same ominous request, "Let us in." Researchers in paranormal circles began collecting accounts from people who had no idea this phenomenon even existed online. One man in Utah claimed he encountered a girl in a gas station parking lot at 3 a.m. She stood motionless near his driver's side window, then suddenly knocked once, sharply. He rolled down the window an inch. "Can you give me a ride?" she said, without looking at him. Then she turned her face, and he saw those eyes. Black like ink, empty. He sped off without looking back. When he told his story on a local radio show, Dozens of listeners called in with similar stories, some dating back to the 1980s. Before Reddit, before YouTube, before creepypasta. So what are they? Some believe the black-eyed children are demons, restricted by spiritual laws that require an invitation. Others think they are extraterrestrial life forms, hybrids or scouts, sent to observe or test humanity's response to fear and intrusion. Some even suggest they're government-created, part of secret psychological experiments. But there's a darker theory, that the black-eyed children are harbingers. Warnings. Their presence indicates something far worse is coming, or already here. In several cases, people reported that after their encounter with these children, they suffered from chronic illness, depression, or sudden deaths in the family. One woman said that after refusing to let 2 children into her house, her dog died the next day, without any illness or injury. Days later, she began seeing shadows in her home. Doors creaking open by themselves. Whispers at night, and always, the feeling of being watched. Even if they didn't let them in, it was as if something stayed. Another man who did let the children in, just for a few seconds, claimed they asked strange questions. Where do your parents sleep? Do you have a basement? Would you bleed for us? He laughed nervously at the time, thinking it was some kind of prank. But shortly after, he began experiencing intense nosebleeds, blackouts, and hallucinations. He eventually moved out and went into therapy, unable to explain what truly happened. Many refuse to talk about it. Others share their stories anonymously online, fearing ridicule or something worse. Is it just fear feeding more fear? Or are these encounters the tip of something buried deep in our reality? What makes this mystery even more terrifying is that no one knows how to stop them. No one knows what they want. And worst of all, they only need you to say one word. Yes. If this story gave you chills, like the video, subscribe for more terrifying true encounters, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever seen the black-eyed children?